you're anything like me, you've spent too many of your nights and mornings scrolling on your phone. Reading feels like too much work, but you're not quite tired enough to sleep, and actually getting out of bed somehow seems worse than wasting away watching videos you're not going to remember in an hour. You also realize that this is a problem because not only are you being unproductive, but it's actually making you feel bad mentally and physically. But you're not really doing anything about it. So today, I'm going to do something about it.
There's debate on whether phone addiction is actually a real thing, and it's such a weird situation to talk about. There's the compulsion aspect, where a lot of us will reach for our phones without even thinking about it. There's the quick short-term reward that has no long-term benefits. There's the inability to break the wake-up and bedtime scrolling habit, even though we know that it causes harm. But at the same time, phones are genuinely convenient and helpful tools that have practically become a necessity. Music, directions, communication, you name it. That's why, during this week of screen time minimization, I will be making a list of phone necessities. I just want to see how many things that I need every day are only possible through the phone, and how realistic it would be to actually go without it for any substantial amount of time. Because having this thing that we can get so addicted to become an integral part of life is kinda terrifying. My friend Tucker actually recently switched to a flip phone, and I realized, hey, doesn't that mean that you can't get food from half the dining halls on campus?
Yup, but I never went to those dining halls anyway, on principle.
I feel like most no-phone challenges are about finding ways to work around not having a phone, but I genuinely just want to see the amount of material useful things that I use my phone for every day, and the minimum amount of screen time I can have while continuing to do those things. So let's do this thing. To be honest with you, I felt pretty aimless that first day without my phone. Alright. Cool. It got to a point where I actually started reading a book that I wasn't making a YouTube video about, and that's how you know that I had nothing else to do. But the craziest thing was that after I recorded this exhausted clip at like 7:45 p.m., I passed out fully clothed and woke up 12 hours later after an uninterrupted dreamless slumber.
Now, I'm no doctor, but that's not normal, and whether it was a symptom of withdrawal or a symptom of finals week is yet to be determined.
Hey guys, I don't know if it's the phone thing or if I'm just sleep deprived, but I have been so exhausted for these first 2 days. I took a walk today without my phone, and it was actually crazy, the amount of things that I just noticed that I wouldn't have noticed before. I read like every single plaque on the way. There's a lot to know out there in the world, and there's also a lot of sleep to get that I need to get. Yeah, I don't know. I've also just been thinking a lot, which is something new.
What's up guys, it is day 3. So far, this is a net positive experience, I would say. I've been having something of an existential crisis the past few days. I've had worse. You have so much time with yourself to think about things that you wouldn't think about otherwise. I've been just noticing really weird, stupid, irrelevant stuff. It's kind of nice. I feel like I know the world around me a lot better right now. I feel like, okay, the last thing I want to say is that I have not locked in on school anymore this week than I have in the past. I thought that this week, without all the distractions, I would be able to just sit down and do a bunch of practice problems for DiffyQ, figure out everything from circuits that I have not figured out yet this whole semester. Yet I've done like next to nothing for school so far. I haven't felt the urge to study. I have felt the urge to just go outside, go on walks. I went on a run this morning for the first time in forever. The big thing I need to work on for the rest of this week is to stay off of YouTube on my computer.
This was a huge problem. When you chop off one head of social media, 2 grow back in its place, in the form of zombie movie clips on YouTube Shorts. Like, I've never been particularly into zombie movies or TV shows, maybe some books in my childhood. But for some reason, I think my brain needed something to waste time on, and when I didn't have my phone to scroll through Reels, I sat and watched the entire thing when a 3-minute clip from The Walking Dead came on. And without fail, the whole week, whenever I opened YouTube, I was met with irresistible zombie content, which I think was the most perfect form of irony.
Shorts.
It sucked though, because every morning when I would look at my screen time from the day before, I couldn't even be proud of myself because in the back of my mind I knew that I'd wasted at least an hour with Rick Grimes. I also got my first parking ticket ever this week, and I could sit here and try to blame the fact that parking is paid for through an app now, but I also just have a bunch of coins in my car and could have easily avoided this. So getting off your phone does not guarantee that you become some super locked in productivity machine, but what does it do? First of all, it made me realize how much of my day I spent alone. I'm not trying to do a sad, feel bad for me because I'm lonely moment, because I feel like I genuinely never noticed before. I just never realized how many lunches at school went by where my friend group consisted of Wordle, Connection, Strands, and the mini crossword. But it's like most of them. And don't get me wrong, they're great guys, those New York Times games, but I think I might need to branch out. It slowed down time to an unprecedented pace. I don't think I felt time go that slow since I was 14 and experiencing high school for the first time. Again, this could have been partially due to the fact that it was finals week and I had to take a bunch of tests and move all my stuff back home, but every single day felt like its own week. But somehow I did not really get anything more done in this week than previous weeks, because unfortunately, it also proved that I have a problem. I'm going to try this again at some point, but an additional rule will be that I am not allowed on my computer unless I'm doing something for school or for a specific YouTube video. No matter how much I want to check my YouTube studio, I know that I'm going to fall into the trap of zombie movie clips on shorts. I'm like a fairly disciplined person too, and I still couldn't pull it together enough to stay off social media entirely. That's a big problem. But because I couldn't be trusted with my laptop, I think the best part of this whole experience was when I would just walk without a single bit of technology on me. Felt in touch with nature, with myself. I cannot recommend going on a walk without your phone enough. Honestly, the last half of the week I kind of went off the grid. I was sick of the camera, I was sick of the zombie shorts, and the fact that it was my last week ever living on campus was starting to set in. And I also realized that I was being a bit dramatic about the phone and how much I need it in my day-to-day life, because the phone necessities list ended up being a little bit lackluster. Like, yeah, these things are a lot more convenient on the phone, but there are honestly workarounds for all of them that are way more fun than just doing them quickly on your phone. Kurt Vonnegut put it best in that one quote about going to buy one envelope at a time. We're here on Earth to fart around. And I think that's exactly what I did with my favorite thing from this week, which was literally just going and walking. It's hard to define, but this world that we have on our devices is less real, and I think it helps to imagine our phones as empty cardboard boxes. You're not alone when you're interacting with people on your phone, but you are alone. What I'm saying is that right here, not me through the screen, but you on the other side of it, is the world that matters. A phone, or the internet as a whole, should just be a tool to make that part better. It shouldn't be the host to a separate existence entirely. So that's what I learned this week. Don't take this world, this life, for granted, and use the tools that you have to make it better. But also, remember,
Some tools are cooler than others.
That looked really, really, really fake.